Well, welcome back into the studio. So glad to have you here. What you're seeing in the background is me getting ready to create these festive and frosty holiday accents or decor ornament decorations. And so what I'm doing is I am making a clay out of the Powertex Power Smooth. These are very porcelain-like because of this Power Smooth powder that I'm using, as well as some universal medium. I'm using a little bit of blue and a little bit of ivory, and I will have all products listed below. These ornaments are available currently in my Etsy shop, so if you're interested in purchasing them, they are there. But if you are interested in making them, I also have these unusual blanks available in my shop as well. And thank you so much for coming along. I hope you enjoy. It's been a few years since I've done a holiday accent or decor item, and I think the last one, I'll link it up in the upper right hand corner here, but I think the last one was done in 2020, so it's been a while and I've been wanting to do another one. So now that the clay is pretty much to the consistency I want, it's like a bread dough almost, I am going to start creating balls out of this and then flatten them. Now that I have those all pressed out, I'm coming in with an Art Foamies Snowflake stamp. And the key here is to mist or get your foam stamp wet before you press it in to the clay each time. And because I pressed those in so hard, there was some cracking along the outside edges of each of these pieces. So you can just dip your finger in water and smooth over those edges to get a softer porcelain-like finish. Well, now it's time to get our blanks ready while these are setting to dry. So I'm going to actually show a little clip while you're watching me gesso the already sanded down blanks. And the little clip I'm going to show is me sanding those down. So as you saw, I sanded those down front and back. I used a 100 grit sanding disc. You can do these with just sandpaper, not a problem. They're real easy to sand down. Then I washed them off and dried them completely, and then started putting gesso on them front and back. Now for the best part, to get designing. So I had some of this wrapping paper. It's like tissue wrapping paper, and on the bottom were these glittered trees. And so I cut that off of the tissue paper. That was only on one edge of the tissue paper, and I had a limited amount. I was worried they wouldn't fit. So I just measured what I need for these to go along the bottom of my decor blanks, and proceeded to get those cut out. And I just used my favorite gel medium, and I will of course, as always, have all the products listed down below, to get that collaged onto the front of that decor blank. All right, these have dried. Now, usually I would take a sand. You know what though? It just dawned on me. I have these sanding discs. Let's try these. Usually I sand paper off the edges, but I don't want dark to appear. We're gonna give these a try. I got these on clearance. And it just gives you the cleanest edge when you're removing paper. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. If you go lightly, it is tissue. It comes off easy. Nice. All right, so my preferred method is to sand the paper off the edge. You can also, it gives you the cleanest edge. You can also take a pair of scissors with the paper edge, the side you're not working on, towards you, you can get really close to the edge. So that's an alternative if you don't have some sandpaper. Even going through this glitter, it's still coming off really nicely. So that's what I'm going to do next on these, and to get prepared for the next stage. Alright, so for my next step, I am going to be working on the backs of these. I want to have something on the back in case someone is using these as a Christmas tree ornament and they kind of, you see the back. I'm going to keep the back pretty flat in comparison to the front. So I am going to get the backs done. I am going to use this I've never been used stencil that my friend Crafty Hope made for me. And I don't have star stencils, and I love this stencil. To me, it just is like screams night sky. I don't want to use it and get it all gumped up, so I'm a little hesitant, but I love it, and I think it'll be perfect for the backs of these. I'm going to use this Aileen's Glitter Snow. This is a weather-resistant formula. I'm not using it because of that. However, it is weather resistant, although these ornaments wouldn't be. It does have glitter in it. You can tell a little bit in this lid. You can see the sparkle, but really it is a white, dries white modeling paste that has glitter to it. So I'm going to use this because I'm trying to use it up. But I think also I want the white on the back. I am going to color these in the long run, But yeah, so you can put stuff on in varying thicknesses with this because it is so light. And I'm gonna go fairly thin with this. I just want that hint.
Oh, there is no denying I'm as lucky as can be. This year the wishing star has shone its light on me. I'm as happy as a child on Christmas. I've made my wish and it came true.
And then I'm gonna clean up the edges and set this to dry. And you can definitely see the glitter. All right, these are dry, and I am going to add color to the back, and I'm going to just follow the blue. So for my color, I'm going to use some liquid power in blue. So this is a Pigment by Powertex. This is the liquid version. They also have the this is the liquid version of the Powercolors. Now this is turquoise, but I don't have the blue in a powder yet. But this is awfully blue. It's very blue, as you can see. And so I am going to water it down with some Lindy's in the frozen Jack Frost. So there is mica involved in this as well. And I am going to apply it to the surface. Once I get my mixture to the color I want and watered down, I'm going to apply it to the surface using this very dirty pipette. So before I begin to apply the color mixture, I am spritzing the front of each of these with the Lindy spray in Jack Frost. Then I'm coming in, rather than just spraying it with water to get some movement going, I figured I might as well add some of that Jack Frost to give it does have mica in it, so it's nice and gives it a nice shimmer. And then coming in and applying the color around the background. I'm not avoiding the big stars. I just know that I'm going to be coming in and adding a bit of white to the centers so that they have a little brightness coming off of that blue. All right, so we've gotten the back sides done. The next thing is I want to alter the front, and this is how I'm altering it. So I am using the Grit Paste Snowfall because it is clear, and I want it to look really icy. I have come over it with these 3D balls. I have the medium size and the small size here, and I also went over it with the fine crystal fine glitter, and then I'm going to just tap off onto a carrier sheet, and this will set aside to dry. So now I'm just going to continue creating this, and I'm going to show you how I did this, and we'll be coming back in and making some additional changes to this as well as to the back side. But first off, we need to get this done. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I started off with was the Grit Paste. This is dries translucent. And I just came in where that paper edge is, which you can barely see. I'm going to come in, and I'm just doing a fairly thin layer, just making it not be too uniform. I don't want a straight edge coming across, but I do want the whole back covered. And then I'm just going to smooth that out. If you see any holes, fill those in with the Grit Paste. And you want to make sure that your hole, your tag hole, so to speak, I think of these as like tags. You need to make sure that that is clear. So I'm going to come in with my skewer and pull out some of that Grit Paste so that I reestablish that hole. Make sure I don't have any gaps in the medium, and then I'm going to grab my piece. These were made in a different way. These were made using stone art. I only have a few of these. Mostly I have these. So I'm going to come in with some E6000 and apply some just into the center of this. But I am going to apply a fair amount. Try not to drop things into your zone. Smooth that out a little bit. Alright, and then I'm going to center this and smush it down. And I'm going to place them as randomly as I can in this zone up here, and then coming into this zone down here, and I want them to look random, and do the same thing down here, and then I'm going to push them down into that Grit Paste, because that is the glue that will connect these. We will be doing something additional with these, but after these have had 24 hours to dry. And then I'm going to come in with the small 3D balls, and I just shake them right from this little baggie. It's really handy, gives you a little funnel, and I'm just going to kind of fill in around this area. You can get these in this bigger container. And they also come in, it's a Powertex product, and they also come in large. Grab my sheet and just shake off any excess. And then I'm going to come in with the glitter. And I glittered everything, all in all the areas. Now there already is a bit of glitter in this. I don't know that it's glitter, but it's definitely sparkly. And I'm going to shake this off. And then this is going to set aside to dry. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these blanks. Alright, so initially I was going to work on the back side before I finish the front side, but I've changed my mind. I just want to have the front done and just be able to let this dry and then finish this up. I think it'll be a little challenging to have the side bumpy while I do this stage. It's fairly flat right now. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I am going to dry brush a white pigment, and this is Powercolor by Powertex in titanium white, and I'm going to use EZ Varnish to do that. And I'm going to show you this if you haven't seen this technique before. And I'm just using a synthetic brush, so it cleans up really nicely. It's pretty soft. But it is firm. You want a dry brush. And I've shaken off these completely, any loose ones. I might get a few as we brush over them. So what I'm going to do is try and get this cap off. I am going to dip my brush into the EZ Varnish. Ugh, this cap needs to be cleaned. I forgot to shake this, so I want to shake it first. There we go. And I like to use this little cup right here. This I use specifically with white, so you'll see there's a lot of light white residue in there. And I don't know how, this is pretty gotten a little thick. It's been in here for quite a while. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of this, and you can see how light it is. I have a lot of these to do. There we go. And I like to use, you can just use your under paper if you want. I like the texture on a kitchen roll. So I'm just gonna dip into the varnish and I'm going to let any excess drip off. I like to shake up my pigment powder so it's not all down to the bottom, so it's loose. You will find some of it will go into the lid. So then I'm just going to pick up some white pigment, and however much you have of your varnish is how much it's going to stick. That's way too much to just go over the top of this, so that I brush off, combined it with the varnish, and remember we started with a dry brush, and then we're just going to lightly go over the tops of these balls. It's exactly what I've done to the surface of this clay piece on the front. I am going to be a little bit heavier handed on this because I want to get all these little ones and just get a highlight on them. They're like they're little mini snowballs. Allowing that to dry a tad before I go in for a second layer. And then I'm going to blot this off, come back in and pick up if I have any more, and do a second layer over here. And I've changed direction this time because these are 3D and they have a round surface. If you always go in the same direction, you might miss edges. So I like to change the direction. So originally I was working on it from this direction, and then I turned it and I'm working on from this direction. So I'm going to wipe this off, dip again into my EZ Varnish, and pick up some more and blot off. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Changing direction, and now you can really start to see them come to the surface. The highlighting that we're doing of the titanium white pigment. I flipped my brush over, and I'm using the back side now and doing the exact same thing down here. And you can keep going doing layers like this until you get the white that you want, but I just wanted a bit of a highlight. I don't want to take away from what's happening here. I'm not going over all this icy stuff that we put down with the grit paste, because I did add glitter to it and I don't want to cover that glitter up. I still want that to shimmer. And then I'm just going to set this aside to dry. It will only take a little while for this to dry. It does not take a long time for that to dry. Decided I wanted another layer. Just a little boost. So that's what I'm going to do for all of these.
No, there is no denying I'm as lucky as can be. This year the wishing star has shone its light on me. I'm as happy as a child on Christmas. I've made my wish and it came true.
All right, so on to the back. So what I'm doing on the back side is on the big star and two of the smaller ones, I'm adding a little bit of this craft glue and then coming in with my crystal fine glitter, and I'm adding a little bit of the Aileen's glitter snow along this top curve edge, coming longer on one side as you see here, and also adding that glitter glue, and then I'm just setting them to the side to dry. And I'm going to do that for the backs of all of these. All right, well, these have dried and they're looking fantastic. So let me do it this way. I am making a piece of fabric that's going to go through these holes. And what I'm thinking is doing is I've pulled out all my white and blue fabrics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer those up and try and not go any wider, or only a hair wider than this, and not be too thick, because some of these have, like this one has a tiny hole, and that might be more challenging to get through. But in the long run, I can also trim this up if I don't get it thin enough. So what I'm going to do is just cut off pieces of these fabrics. This one, it's a little dark, but maybe the lighter parts I'll use, not the darker strains. That one won't work. This is more teal, but I might use a little smattering of that. This will be fun. Layer like on top. And even though this is dark, it's in the same range. I figured I'd rip it up. Yeah, this is too teal. So I thought this would be fun. And this is really nice and icy. This is a piece of fabric from Tina Walker. It's her artwork printed on fabric. And I thought this section might be nice to use. And then some of this might be nice as well. So I'm going to start cutting and ripping some fabric, and then here's a little tidbit of lace. I have my fabric sorted into 3 totes or containers. One is big pieces, one is small pieces, where these came from, and then I have this, which is all bits. Here's some crib cloth. It's more ivory, and I don't know that I really want that. Oh, but that might be fun. Some of the blue there. This might be fun. Oh my gosh. That goes on forever and ever. Oh, here's some little bits of blue. So I thought, oh, here's some. I thought this might be a fun direction. Oh, we've got little flowers. Here's another little blue tidbit. I should put all the tidbits to the side. To add on at the end. Let's see what we want to do. All right, I think that should be good. Give us something to work with. All right, so I've got most of this cut up into pieces, and so my plan is to do a section at a time. Probably it's going to be slow going, but probably a little section like this, because I'm not going to be able to hold all the little pieces on it as I'm going through my machine. So I'm going to go in with darker pieces, and then I'm going to come atop that with lighter colored pieces. I'm just worried about it getting too thick to go through the hole, but we'll take that as it comes. All right, so I'm gonna sew that first, and I'm just using a white thread to sew. And so it looks like that, and I've gotten it sewed down. Now this piece right here is a little wonky, and so is this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this part out and start sewing from like here and come up. So it's just going to be wonky sewing. I also thought it might be fun to add some threads in here as well. And so I'm going to continue on doing this until I get enough for all of these decor pieces. Well, it took me quite some time to finish this scrap roll of fabric, but it was so much fun. So I'm cutting off pieces. I should have measured this one, and I am sewing it on across here and just leaving a little bit of it out. So I'm gonna go through and do that for all of these ornaments or decor pieces. I think it adds a little bit of fun to the pieces. I do have a link down below where you can purchase one of these decor items if you're so interested. It's just down in the description along with the listing of all the products that were used. Thank you so much for coming along and joining me for this video. I do appreciate it.